Hello, golfers. I'm sure you are one of thousands of golfers on a mission to improve your golf swing and thus your golf game. Else, why would you be looking through the internet till you land upon this YouTube channel? As mentioned, this is a channel for serious golfers in search of meaningful solutions, so here goes. Here's an entire list of essential or vital movements that you must make to be successful with your golf swing. I'm including all the latest information here. I will mainly discuss backswing and downswing movements and very few positions such as required at address to keep my list brief. The movements will be separated out into legs, torso, and arm movements to make my list more precise to help you follow along better. Your lead knee must kick in and be pointing to behind the ball at the end of the backswing, while your lead foot can remain on the ground or be raised depending on how modern you want your swing to be. Your trail knee, in the meantime, can be flexed or straight, while your trail foot should be banked, which means kept planted for longer in the downswing. And here's the latest information on weight shift. It was encouraged years ago for all skill levels of golfers until many began to sway, not knowing how much was enough. Then, for a while, it was supposed to be more centered, but now it's back in fashion. Note that you should really call it a center of mass shift to be politically correct, and it must never be confused with center of pressure. You should shift your trail hip a few inches away from target, according to the latest information, while also lifting your center of mass upwards. But really, the center of mass shift is a torso movement, even though it leads to a change in the center of pressure that acts through your feet. So now I may as well add in all the other torso movements here. You should bend forward at the hips and your spine should be straight with no forward curve at the top and no backward curve in the lower down part of your spine. You should lean away from target 2 at address in what has been referred to as a secondary tilt. However, I cannot tell you why you need it because you really should not maintain it during your backswing, and in fact, you should rotate your shoulders around your forward tilted spine, which is likely to tilt your spine towards target by the top. And I do not precisely know in which plane your shoulders must rotate or why, and your pelvis must also somehow rotate, but as little as possible to maintain the rule of the X factor, even though it is a concept that has had equivocal results when tested through research. Be sure to have your lead shoulder drop down by the top of your backswing, even though it is higher than your trail shoulder at both address and at impact. These days, there are some murmurs about leaning the spine backwards, that is towards the target at the top, and hopefully it's not being said by the same people who want a reverse K or spine leaning away from target at address. Now, from the top, there should be a kinematic sequence of pelvis before shoulders, and although researchers always measure this kinematic sequence in a horizontal plane, you must first contrive to move your oblique torso into a horizontal position, and oh, by the way, feel like you're throwing an axe behind you so that your torso and arms will fall back. Never mind that one's torso is a heavy, slow-moving body part with limited information reaching it from one's brain, and never mind that you really cannot separate the torso's position from the arms because it's where the scapula faces that the arm will face. Sorry, but I rushed into downswing suggestions before having completed my list of backswing movements. And as, I mentioned the arms, now I may as well get along with that topic. In the backswing, the first part of the arms movement should look like a triangle, and the club should be outside the lead arm just to be sure it's not flipped back. I mean, there's no other in-between opportunity, is there? And a wide arms takeaway is good for you, even though your trail elbow eventually bends and narrows your arm width sooner or later. These takeaway movements will serve to make your arms and torso move at a different pace so that you will have to pay attention to syncing them all in the downswing. And that includes your wrists, which will also start to move separately but have to be synced with the other body parts when you make a downswing. Now keep in mind that your wrist should be cocked but not hinged, although a hinge always accompanies a cock because of the design of human wrists, especially when the hands are connected at the grip end of the club. One extremely important aspect of the backswing is to keep your club shaft on plane, even though golf swing planes can be as varied as human fingerprints, depending on who's defining them, and some researchers have cast doubts on the idea of swing planes as we know them. Also, it is not just the club shaft that has to be kept on some plane at different parts of the backswing. One of your forearms, the lead one I think, and perhaps your other elbow have to be on that plane too at some phases during the backswing or the downswing. Now at the top, your club shaft should be neither laid off nor across the line, and your club face should be neither open nor closed, while your wrists should be neither bowed nor cupped. And while we do not know exactly which body part should start your particular downswing, some body part must, and then all parts must move in sequence from the ground up to preserve your kinematic sequence. And oh no, on the subject of the ground, I forgot to mention that at the end of your backswing, you should push away from target so weight can shift forward, and later your lead knee must drop down and towards target, and your lead foot must push downwards and forwards so the torso can be pushed up vertically and your lead hip can be rotated away from the target line. And oops, I've mixed up the legs and the torso rolls here, though I promised not to. In my defense, it's because I remembered I must list the alpha, beta, and gamma forces and torques that should be applied through your hands. These forces and torques are so important that wars have been fought over them. To return to downswing thoughts, it's very important to pull your arms and shaft close to the body and inside the target line. Never mind that you do not wish to pull the ball left or off target. Most importantly, on the topic of the downswing, keep in mind that the downswing lasts about 1/3 second or less, so make sure to collect your thoughts. Although I mentioned this earlier, it bears repeating. Your dropped lead side must rise up in a vertical thrust, although if you squatted equally with both legs, and some will tell you to squat in the backswing while others might suggest squatting in the downswing, please figure out how your lead shoulder alone is supposed to be higher at impact. Also, I forgot to say that at some stage in the downswing, your weight shift must be towards target and your rotated body must be unrotated. Your bent trail, elbow, and both wrists must straighten. And I could go on, but I'm probably confusing the issue for you as I have not done a very good job of making sure I list all the important movements. And I cannot tell you precisely what order you should make all the movements in anyway. Well, I tried my best, but my simple brain cannot even visualize this many movements, leave alone intellectually understand them or physically execute them. If I inadvertently left out some information in this post, please forgive me and know that I greatly respect all you genius golfers out there who can learn this entire list of movements and more, both physically and mentally, and then execute them all in perfect sequence every single time. Finally, folks, if you like this video, please share it. It's so important to know all the important movements for golfing success. And let me know whether you think I might be successful in my plans to start a new YouTube channel titled Golf Parody Central.